So once more we're back to a chakra meeting. That looks interesting. Gosh, I might have heard that. Oopsie daisy. Well, dears, as I'm a bit shy of speaking because I tend to say stupid things when I open my mouth, it's safest, I've learned, to be silent. So let's start. Although we haven't been a very talkative group so far, let's start by just being quiet. As Phil reminded us earlier on, it's very helpful when we're quiet to become more quiet and enter sort of deeper and deeper and deeper into the quietness. And to do that, it's very helpful to feel your feet on the ground, your bottom on the chair, and to simply listen and look. And if we do this attentively, we'll find that not only the outer listening is still, is quiet, but the inner, the mental activity also settles down and becomes quiet. And a bit earlier on, one of you was asking about non-duality, and I asked her, do you mean the idea of non-duality or the reality of non-duality? And she sort of wasn't quite sure, said deepening appreciation of non-duality. And I suggest that those of you that are interested in this question of whether or not, or what is non-duality, should just refer to this that happens when we become quiet. There is this quietness. Or if you want to, call it silence, in which all the activity of this little calf and the street outside and the summer day and our own are all contained in one presence, one silence, which I might refer to as this. And it's very simple, just how many of this are there? Or is there just one? And where does it end? So there's your answer, dear. Dead simple, isn't it? In fact, another way you can describe it is simplicity itself. So where are your questions? We won't know what to talk about, will we? Meditation is really like a mini death, isn't it? We let go, and with a bit of luck we discover something of a bigger world, which becomes more and more comfortable for us. We become accustomed to it, don't we? May I use the rather fashionable modern word duality?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the mind is duality, isn't it? You asked me, is it all in the mind? Well, it may be if it's got a very big mind, but it's all chopped up into little bits, isn't it? Here, there, and everywhere. It's all chopped up in the mind, but is it all in the mind? But the all, you see, is here, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, not everybody realizes that the mind isn't actually that big. There's a much bigger realm beyond the mind, at least what we call the mind.
Yeah.
You know, you can talk of lower mind and higher mind and levels of mind, but actually beyond the highest concept we may have of mind, you go to what's beyond conception, don't you? In fact, where does it end? Nobody knows. So it's beyond knowledge, isn't it? It's beyond knowing. Well, it depends what you want, really. If you're the sort of person that wants the big stuff, you know, the beyond, the beyond, the beyond, there it is. But on the other hand, most people are interested in the mind and, you know, the passage of events, which is very understandable because that's the world and this is the way we're brought up. This is what we're educated in, isn't it? This is what's called the way of the world. It really does depend what you want. What we really want. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, so it's written. Indeed, yeah, some people really are frightened, aren't they, of going into the beyond. Some people don't even like silence, do they, strangely enough? They depend on music or having some background noise. You know, it's interesting. You come into a cafe where people want to talk, but most people like to have a background music as well, don't they? A lot of people today aren't actually very comfortable in silence. And I've known many people when they come to meditate who are really quite frightened of losing the normal mental processes. And of course in current medicine, especially treatment of old age, people are terrified of losing the mind, aren't they? Whereas in terms of what we're talking about, it's the best thing that can possibly happen to anyone, to lose the mind. But indeed, it leads on to many questions as to the human condition, isn't it? Where are we? Who we can be so beyond conception, great in what we are, almost unbelievably small. Extraordinary, isn't it? The range of what's available to us. Personally, I've always, as I often said, I was brought up in the country with the open fields. I've always loved space. I feel comfortable with space. Don't fence me in. That's very much my nature. But of course it isn't for most people. They love to be, in company or, in a little cozy home environment. Well, that's very nice too, but outside the stars are calling. Fear of God, the beginning of wisdom. What is wisdom? Beyond knowledge. Or as I like to express it, higher knowledge. Beyond conceptual knowledge. Do you know what I mean by conceptual? Of the mind, particularly my mind. It's a product of the human mind, isn't it? So we get a man-made conceptual world where almost everything is a human concept, like the sugar in the little pot, or whether you have this sort of coffee or that sort of coffee. It's really a human concept, isn't it? And of course there's another aspect, because if God knows the secrets of every heart, which again we're told in the Bible, that this mighty, this beyond conception mightiness of what we call God, if that power, that almighty power, knows all the wish they don't wear sort of shady corners of our hearts and minds. Something a bit scary about it, isn't it? Who hasn't done things they're ashamed of? If it's all revealed and known to the great authority. Naked we came and naked we die. Naked before the Lord. Pretenses, what happens to all this pretense? A picture of ourselves, what's it all add up to? It's quite scary, isn't it? Do you know what it is to let go of your mind? Have you been beyond the mind? Never? Well, I bet you have, dear. I bet you've been to the seaside sometimes, haven't you? And you've looked out over the sea?
Yes, in that sense, yes.
And you've forgotten about your mind, haven't you?
Yes.
And you were happy, you loved it. Yeah, nothing scary, was there, dearie? And when you first looked at me in the church this morning, you weren't scared, were you?
Yeah.
You gave me a lovely smile in return. Bakewell's quite an interesting place, because we get a lot of tourists come here, very ordinary, just people from the town. And what do, dear? They buy their fish and chips. A lot of them just sit by the river and they look at the ducks and the water flowing past and just sort of relax. It's a change from their, living in the street with their normal daily routine of work. Just natural meditating. Just leave their troubles behind for a few hours. Worth driving all the way to Bakewell just to do that, isn't it? Or kick a football around. I think we've become a bit silly the way we've blown this whole spiritual business up into something extraordinary, something rather specialist, something that you have to have teachers for, and all this paraphernalia of modern spiritual jargon. I suggest it's There's nothing more complicated than common sense, dear. That's been known to everybody, or most people to some extent, since the beginning of the world. You know? That we can get in a state, of course, and then you come back to something simple, like eating your dinner, you know, or just stroking your dog, or just, home again after all that lot. Close the door, shut the world out, come to rest. There you are. So there's the world of action, the world of hurry and worry, and there's also a world of rest. And the two are coexistent. And everybody's always known this. There's no place like home. Isn't that right? The fireside, slippers, food on the table. A lot of people would give the same answer in this restless world we live in. World of perpetual. Most of you got your phones on the table, haven't you? This perpetual call to duality. Keep the mind on the boil. It's a great craving in today's world. Rest. And you know, are you familiar with the Bible?
Yeah, very familiar.
Well, one of Jesus' famous sayings is, "Come unto me, all you that are burdened, and I will give you rest." And what is this? That in no way threatens the world of action and difference, but it's simply, as it were, a third point to the duality of this and that. The third point, this. I am with you always. And is this not the Christ? Is this not Jesus? That is both in but not of the world. If you ask me what I think, I won't tell you, because I don't trust my thoughts. And I suggest you don't trust them either. But dear, I suggest a much better approach, dear, is just to consider the grass. Now, do you think I'm stupid?
No.
Just consider the grass, dear, and look more closely. Get down on your knees and study it. And look at all the little creatures you can find crawling about. The little ants and the little beetles and whatnot. And then, if you like to just scratch the earth a bit, all the little worms and buglets and things. If you had super good eyes, you could see all the little bacterias, and so the scientists tell us, little creatures without end, dear. And then ask that question. Or otherwise, look up at the stars, dear. Look at the way the wind blows the trees. Just look at your hair in the mirror. Isn't it extraordinary? How many hairs have you got on your head? Who put them there? Years ago, I remember being told that real knowledge comes from revelation. It's revealed. The difficulty isn't really in finding this. It's dealing with all the habitual, all the habits that prevent it, that just get in the way. The conditioning, the human condition. This is where you can see for yourselves, this is present all the time we've been talking. This hasn't changed a bit, has it? It's just been here, as it were, smiling down at us. Because it's entirely benevolent. There's nothing threatening or frightening about this, is there? In fact, what do we mean by the love of God? It really is love, isn't it? Because it holds us all in its arms, doesn't it? All of us, even the nasty ones, the nasty bits of us, doesn't reject anything, does it? It's totally accepting of this whole human mess, isn't it? But it's we live in this little world based on what? Based on me. And if you want a clue as to the real cause of the problem, just watch your naughty mouth and how often it comes up with the word I, me, or mine, you see, which is really advertising your absence from this. The Bible's full of very blunt, calling a spade things, like, who can separate a fool from his folly? This is what takes so long, this is long process of unraveling the knots. I'm not really sure that we can unravel the knots. I know the world is full of ambitious young people trying to be enlightened, but now I'm very old. I'm not sure that we actually can do it. I suspect the real answer is that we simply grow out of it. We grow out, and another clue as to what gets in the way is what we call mortality. It's what dies, you see. Because in the real world, in this, there is no death, is there? Death belongs down here. So everything that dies, and what in this world doesn't die, isn't it. And this is what, fortunately, at the end of life, dies and releases this. Here is the prison, like a cocoon. Think of a cocoon. You know what I mean by a cocoon? And what happens when the time comes for the butterfly to come out? Now, I'm in that amazing state now when I'm obviously dying out. I'm losing my strength, I'm losing everything. Can't hear, can't see, all my faculties are dying out. And yet I've never been more alive in this real sense. And I can tell you, it's absolutely super. There's nothing to be frightened about. Because it's so natural. It's super natural, you see. In just bringing it back to what's happening to me at the present. You see, as I'm dying out of my faculties, I would get rather into that position as all the structures of my life are just crumbling away around me. I just don't know. Into thy hands, O Lord, which are actually, this is becoming one of my favourite sayings now, it's the last words of Jesus, isn't it? So having done his worldly work, there he is, ignored, most of his followers have left him, there he is, hanging on the cross. Into thy hands, O Lord, thy will be done. I feel getting towards that myself, really. What else? Because the John Butler, who, with all his plans, what's happening to it? Dying out before my eyes, isn't it? I'm sorry, that happened to all of us, won't it? What is man? And yet with it comes this marvellous assurance that actually there's nothing more certain in this life than that, the less of me, which now seems a very wobbly creature indeed, a very sort of questionable event. There's much greater certainty of melting into this. This that governs every little ant, every little creature, every feature of everything, every leaf. Extraordinary. It takes so long to trust this more than this. Maybe that's maybe that's why we're given 80 years in this life, because you can't sort of hurry it. It takes time, doesn't it? I'm not sure that we can grow up before our time. I don't think a child at school can sort of miss out all the intermediate classes, the lessons in this great school of life. Can your children grow up before they're ready? Harvest comes when it's ready, doesn't it? You can't hasten it. Dear, I have a way of describing this. Think of your tummy now. Generally, we don't think too much about our tummy, do we? It just digests the food you put into it, and it does what it does. Now, what is the mind? Now, isn't the mind just like a higher digestive system, which is digesting all the impressions of life? It's a bit more complicated than your tummy, but it's basically the same thing. It's just digesting all the mental feelings, all the emotions, all the fears, all of everything that is this whole great kerfuffle of conceptualism. It's doing its work, because that's its function, to weigh up and balance and think about all these things, but it's doing it perfectly naturally. There's nothing actually wrong with it if we don't criticize it, if we just see it as it is. Now then, when we meditate, if we've got a good practice of meditation, we follow a mantra or something like that. With a bit of luck, we sort of let go, don't we? We do this, we do that. Lose interest in the mind, turn your mind to something else. And rather like a balloon, when a balloon lets go its weights, it goes up, doesn't it? Very much like when you get in an aeroplane. When you're in the airport, you look up at the sky. Oh, it's a cloudy sky. That's all you can see, the clouds. But if you get in an aeroplane, I promise you, what happens? You go up and where are the clouds? They're down below, aren't they? You're above them, looking down on the clouds. You're looking down on the mind. The clouds are like the mind. The clouds in the mind. Your thoughts, all this confusion in the mind is just clouds. And beyond the clouds you come to the open sky. And then you think, well, the mind isn't that interesting, you forget about it. And you enjoy what's up beyond it. So all this hard work of sorting out the mind here and trying to stop thinking, it's really, there's a much better way. There's nothing wrong with your thoughts. Just leave them. Sometimes look at the sky. Sometimes there are lots of clouds, sometimes there are none. So is the mind. It's just a creature, like a robot, dear, just like a machine. Quite a mechanical, automatic thing that just happens. And when life's disturbed, the mind's disturbed. That's all right, don't worry about it. It's natural. Just go beyond it. There's a very important little word, beyond. Go beyond, dear. We're just like little children who know no better. And so we get in a state about the mind. And I can tell you, even I do, dear. It's not easy. It takes a long, long life of practice. You may get better at it, but does anybody know anybody who doesn't get into a state from time to time? But if you go above it, you see, then you can see that actually everything is perfect. Yes. The mind, even the naughty bits of the mind are actually in their way perfect, just like the clouds are perfect. They are, aren't they? Even a day like this, it has its own perfection. Like the grass, I've always come back to the grass. I love grass. I'll say everybody gets terribly upset about the mind from time to time, dear. I don't think anybody can avoid it. We're all in the soup together, in this human mess. So it doesn't really. Maybe it's all for a good purpose, to keep us humble. Because wouldn't it be awful if we pretended we could measure up to this? Well, again, I come back to one of the things I love so much about the Bible. We're not told to know God, are we? We're not told to know what this is, or we're told to what? To love it. Love is our access. And then we gradually learn to discriminate between what is satisfactory, what is less satisfactory. What we want and what we're not so keen on. It happens naturally, dear. Like with everything, like with your food, your daily food, you gradually learn to realize what suits you and what doesn't. The company you keep. So it is with these mental attitudes. It's extraordinary how this is, another word for this is providence, isn't it? Providence, the Lord provides. That actually all the teaching you need is provided naturally, long before anybody dreamt up YouTube. That's another thing I was told as a young student in the School of Meditation, to put meditation first. And that's I've tried to do throughout my life. Do it first, yeah. Before the world takes you over. When I first went to meditate as a young man of 26, I was interviewed at a thing called the School of Meditation. I was asked the question, what do you really want in life? And this was a very important question. What do you really want? Now, we're told to love God, aren't we? Now, not everybody's that way inclined. A lot of people, especially these days, who are very much mentally conditioned. It's not really on their agenda, something like that. We have to find our way through knowledge. Well, that's okay. It's a valid way. There said to be 3 ways of finding it. The way of love, the way of knowledge, and the way of, I think, action, is it? Service, sort of Mother Teresa sort of people. There's also this little word, devotion. When you feel devoted to any of these 3 ways, devotion really implies you do it wholeheartedly, with all of yourself. If we approach anything half-hearted, well, you're half here, you're half there, aren't you? So you need to want it, you really need to mean it. Go for it, make an effort. Get up early if that's necessary to do your practice. It's a very ancient tradition, dear, early morning, because everything is clearer, isn't it? The action of the day hasn't really started. And there's a purity about it, a clarity about early morning. You know, the traffic hasn't started. Most people are still asleep, haven't they? The talking hasn't really started. It's an age-old tradition to get up even during the night or early morning to meditate, putting first things first, before breakfast, before you get into switching on the news and seeing what's on, looking at your emails and that. I always find, if you meditate later on in the day when your head's full of busyness and your thoughts and all, it's not usually as clear as it is in the morning. But it's worth experimenting, dear. Find out for yourself, practice, and just see. You'll learn. You'll see what's best. But for those who are not in the habit of getting up early, I understand it can be very difficult. My sympathy, dear.